What I've got for you today are games from the most recent ESL Open Cup that were played a couple of days ago. I want to follow the tournament run of the man right here, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner. Apparently his nickname in game is Marksh, but he's better known under the nickname of uThermal. Now, as you probably know, uThermal has been executing some funny strategies over the last couple of years, and apparently in this particular tournament, his playstyle is, well, a little bit different than what we consider to be the established standard. His opponent, this first series, is from the round of 64, if I'm not mistaken. He's a Grandmaster Protoss player who plays under the idea of Rostock, and I had to look it up. I think I may have actually played against Rostock myself at some point in the past, but anyways. Rostock is a 5.5k MMR Protoss player, which makes him right around a rank 100 Grandmaster on the European server. So certainly very, very respectable. Now, spoiler alert, from what I've heard, I haven't seen these games, but from what I've heard, uThermal decides to go for Planetary Fortress rushes. Now, we've seen in the past, right? Here's the problem. We've seen in the past that Planetary Fortress rushes can actually be very effective against, well, pretty dang good players, right? He's already beaten many Grandmasters playing with this really cheesy style. The problem is that this is a best of 3. And how in the world are you gonna win 2 games in a row? I can imagine winning a best of 1, right? If you don't see it coming, if you don't know what your opponent is likely to play, I can imagine, yeah, sure, a Planetary Fortress rush, even though it's a bit of a shaky strategy, it can catch you off guard. But multiple games? In a best of 3 series? Really? So let's find out. SCV Scout going across the map, factory at home. Probe actually just got recalled all the way back. Apparently Protoss players have decided that is worth it. I mean, even if it's just a mental victory alone, it does seem to be worthwhile. Either way, okay. I think uThermal just scouted the location of these structures, which honestly is quite important. Generally speaking, I've seen him do this a couple of times. Generally speaking, when you Planetary Fortress a Protoss player, you want to be jumping your Planetary on top of their tech. I think that's the plan, right? Yeah, so I think what we're gonna do is save up resources right now to go for a command center right over here. And then I would imagine he's probably planning on flying it into the opponent's main base. Preferably, of course, you would have it in range of both the tech over here as well as the Nexus itself, but I don't think that's reasonable. I mean, no, I don't think you can reach everything. Honestly, if you can shut down all of this, so look at that, the Twilight Council is gonna go down over here as well. Could have gone down, I guess, over here at the front if you really wanted to, but not the case. If the Twilight Council is located right over there as well, I can imagine that planetarying, you know, this location on the map is preferred. Anyways, Mark following this up right now with a factory as well. Command center over here about halfway done. In the past, whenever I saw anybody going for a Planetary Fortress rush, I think I may have said that I didn't think it was viable above like Silver League. But uThermal has showed us that it's actually a pretty dang good strategy. I just have no idea how he's ever gonna make this work in a best of 3 series. It just doesn't make sense. So this is a pretty quick one as well, right? Like, in a couple of games that I've seen uThermal play this style, he generally does it a little bit later than this. Maybe not so much against Protoss, but I think he usually goes for the Planetary a little bit later on into the game. Either way, it's 3 Reapers. Already Protoss probably is thinking, okay, what in the world is going on? Rostock scouting around, playing a pretty normal build, by the way. Oh, yeah, here we go. Command Center has decided that this is gonna be the place to be. Reapers going into, well, I guess the main base too, if they want to. That Command Center right now providing high ground vision. Good Stalker warping. What uThermal is not gonna want to have happen here is these units no, you gotta stay underneath. Okay, I guess they're needed at the front as well, but I think having something walk underneath the command center to prevent it from landing is the preferred way of defending this, right? Anyways, now the command center lands in the main base. Planetary Fortress is coming up. Immortal gets chrono boosted out at this point, but the pylon is already gone. Honestly, this little hit squad over here is dealing a tremendous amount of damage. The Planetaries, maybe not even needed. In this game, the Planetary wasn't even really needed. You know what's kind of tough? I've played StarCraft 2 for many, many years. And there were periods where I was playing upwards of like 20 to 30 games every single day. I had aspirations of becoming a professional gamer myself, and I really tried to put in a lot of work. Now, I peaked at the MMR that Rostock is playing at. I peaked at 5.5k. Didn't stay there for all too long either. And it's been quite a while. But the way... if you see the actual high-level players, this patch of players around this MMR, it almost... So, Grandmaster League on its own, right? It really should be divided up into different tiers as well. Because you can reach Grandmaster League at like probably 4.8k MMR or so at the beginning of a season. But the absolute best players are usually sitting above 7k MMR. Players like Serral have peaked at 7.5k MMR. So the range within those 200 ranks is absolutely insane. The skill level difference is tremendous. I think that game number 1 was kind of a good example as well. I was very focused on the Planetary Fortress situation, but I don't think uThermal even really needed that. Anyways, let's see what will end up going down right here in game number 2. Rostock, okay, getting a little bit more adventurous here, as he sent a probe towards the left side of the map. Okay, so I would imagine... Oh! Okay, I thought this was gonna be... Are we gonna make a Nexus over here? Is that the plan? No, okay, I was gonna say, I would imagine that it's gonna be a proxy Stargate or something like that. The reason I bring up a Nexus is because I've seen a couple of games of Haas executing this. I still need to actually cover that series as well. In case you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel just yet, make sure you do so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. But there were a couple of series at IEM Katowice where Protoss players decided to build a Nexus on the wrong side of the minerals. So normally you'd go for the gas over there, right? But they were building Nexi over on the wrong side, which is really fun. Anyways, this can only be a proxy Stargate, of course, because Rostock is... positioning is very conservatively, but I mean, if you're gonna position it anywhere, proxy Twilight Council or proxy Rovo just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in that location. Okay. Reaper is scouting around right now. uThermal has picked up on the differences in this game, so he's looking. Yeah, rather than sending this straight across the map, he's making sure that he's not being cheesed. Already, though, there is once again an SUV here at the 3 o'clock position. Yeah, he's going pretty far, but he's not actually scouted this side of the map yet, so... Even if he's gonna spot it right now, he probably won't be able to get much done against that Stargate. Either way, Command Center once more coming up. Oracle being chronoed out here on the left side of the map, so that one is gonna be headed straight on over towards the main base of the Terran. Bunker here built as well, because I think uThermal was a little bit concerned. And look at the way he's rallying the factory and the barracks. He's making sure that he is, yeah, gonna be able to defend whatever it is that... Oh, he's still looking around. Whatever it is that the Protoss player is throwing at him. He's looked everywhere, man. This could actually be a little shaky right now, because I don't know if he's gonna go down towards this low ground here. Rostock with the 700 IQ positioning. Yep. Problem is, though... Ooh, we have a little bit of a supply block right now as well. The problem is that there are no defenses here inside of the main base. And this is the downside, right? Of playing against someone who does the cheese multiple times in a row. Honestly, this was not the best Oracle control, though. Okay, at least it will stay alive for now. It's gonna get recalled, but... that honestly wasn't even really that great. Okay. Anyhow. Maybe building the golden minerals there would have been nice, right? I actually don't think it would be terrible, because then you can even choose to give up the... you can choose to give up the main base if the planetary turns out to be a disaster. Anyhow, this is already looking quite a bit shakier than what we had in the previous game, but it is certainly very playable still. Okay, I was wondering where we're gonna go with that planetary this time around, because, I mean, you could drop it over here. I wouldn't hate that. I actually think that's a pretty good spot, but since there is now a Nexus here on the low ground already done, maybe going for a one-base force, right? A one-base contain is the better control, the better move. Shield battery very late. There's 2 of them coming up right now, which is nice, I suppose. Good scan over there. Oh, beautiful pickups right there from Mark. Trying his very best to slow this all down. And Planetary Fortress, man. Once again, I feel like it's barely even needed. It's nice, don't get me wrong. But apparently, yeah, even uThermal's like, you know what? Oh, okay, I thought he was gonna go into the main base. I wouldn't have minded that. Okay, SCV's going back home already. Planetary is coming up here eventually. That Nexus is super dead. There's obviously no command center yet, like a second command center that is for Mark, so he... Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to really fall back to, but creating this contain, right? How in the world is Protoss ever going to expand? Now, he does have Blink finishing up, so Rostock can get out of his own main base here by blinking around. There is an Oracle still available, but that missile turret is going to finish up just barely in time. uThermal really respecting this, by the way. I think he's assuming that there's a lot of units missing here from the opponent. One siege tank, one missile turret, and one planetary fortress. You're not going to be able to leave that. You're not going to be able to leave that location very easily. Now, you can leave through the back. Yeah. So Rostock trying to cut off some of those supplies. Oh, looks like the Oracle eventually did end up going down as well. I wonder if we're going to see a command center here from uThermal at all. Like, you know, not this one. I mean, you could technically mine these minerals, I guess, if you're feeling really ambitious, but... I would imagine that we're going to be seeing a... Oh no, careful, careful, careful. Okay, he decides to blink forward on purpose. He wants to break this position so bad. I mean, he lost only one Stalker right there against the siege tank, so I guess it's relatively okay, but... The lack of command center on the low ground here is really making this quite a bit more difficult, though, right? Like, I mean, economically speaking, it's not like uThermal has a massive advantage. Yeah, I think he's gonna start one up right now, so we're looking at playing a macro game on the back of this. What exactly is Rostock's plan? I think he's gonna try and put all of his eggs in one basket. Yeah, he's now using that proxy pylon that he made ages ago to try and, yeah, reinforce some of those stalkers. Fair enough. Command center. Ooh, careful. Blink? No blink? Okay. Command center here on the low ground may be a little bit exposed, but there's 4 siege tanks here ready to defend. I don't mind Blink Stalker all-ins when there's... Okay, there's a Dark Shrine coming up. I don't mind Blink Stalker all-ins when there's like 2 siege tanks, but when there's 4? He doesn't know that there's 4, right? I mean, now he must realize that there's a little bit more than he was bargaining for. This siege tank all the way super conservative as well. He's getting some good value here, though. Okay. Okay, good aggressive blink there forward as well. The Marines are packing a punch. Nothing to provide high ground vision here for those units. Liberator up in the main base as well now. And that is going to be the end right here for Rostock. Next up, we have the round of 32. Game number 1 in the next best of 3 series takes place on the map Dragon Scales. And spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, we have uThermal. His opponent this time around, playing here with the green Terran SCVs, he goes by the name of Cuckoo. Now, there's no way you're gonna beat Cuckoo in a best of 3 series with Planetary Fortress rushes. I don't see it happening. I want to believe, but Cuckoo is really good at the game. In case you're unfamiliar, over the last couple of years, he's been making a name for himself, and he's definitely been moving up as far as the StarCraft 2 rankings go. So he's an 18-year-old Romanian player who is currently sitting at about 6k MMR, making him like rank 40 or so on the European server. However, I think in the past he was probably a little bit higher than that as well. I think he probably peaked at probably, if I were to make a guess, like 6'2", maybe 6'3", which really, yeah, puts him right around rank 20, rank 25 or so on the European server, which is certainly a very respectable ranking. And when it comes to players of this caliber, I mean, uThermal is really good, don't get me wrong. In a straight-up game, right, if uThermal decides to play a normal macro game, yes, I am going to favor him, certainly. But with Planetary Fortress rushes? Really? Okay, well, I guess we're going to find out. I would be very impressed if he ends up taking down Cuckoo in a best of 3 series with Planetary Fortress rushes in every game. Anyhow, it's a Terran versus Terran as well. Terran buildings obviously can fly, so, you know, that statistic alone already makes it kind of difficult. Obviously, there's also a chance that Cuckoo has looked at the previous games that uThermal has played. I don't know if they were broadcasted at all or if he could look at like the match history, but Cuckoo knows he's playing against uThermal, and there's a very good chance that at some point there's going to be a YouTube video going up titled something like, I cheesed every game in this $400 turret, right? There's a good chance that there's a YouTube title going up somewhere with something along those lines. So I think if you're playing, let me leave it at that, okay? I think if you're playing uThermal in a tournament right now, there's a good chance you should expect a little bit of shenanigans. Anyhow, Reapers here going around, SCV hiding in the bottom left-hand corner. Normally, you'd use those minerals to go for a command center on the low ground. Well, I guess uThermal is still gonna go for a command center on the low ground, right? Yeah, he didn't move down. Anyhow. Pretty much identical build orders from both players here so far, other than the positioning of the command center. Oh, good control right here by Cuckoo. Very nicely done. uThermal, well known for his phenomenal Reaper control, and this is really not going all too great for him. We do have a little bit of a difference here from Cuckoo, as he did not decide to go for that reactor. So, he's not gonna have as many units available here, but... yeah, he's gonna go for a Widow Mine as well. I kinda like the Widow Mine here. One thing that uThermal does is he like pounces on top of your mineral line, right? Or he jumps on top of your base. Getting a Widow Mine barrel out there definitely can be very annoying. Okay, Starport does come up, but a little bit later. Ooh, careful. Ooh, nice movement. Good movement right here from Cuckoo. It's very easy to accidentally mess that up. Reaper Grenade right there, not getting enough value in. Okay, I thought Cuckoo was going to try and scout down south, but I like the Widow Mine here. I think the Widow Mine is going to be very obnoxious to deal with. It's gonna slow uThermal down. If he spots it, he's gonna probably have to sacrifice a unit. But especially when it's on a high ground like this, I mean, you're not gonna get high ground vision until a little bit later. Either way, NG Bay about halfway done. Engineering Bay is required to go for a Planetary Fortress. Here comes the command center. If Cuckoo can keep a unit underneath the CC can't land. Now he sees what's going on. He CCs what's going on. Haha. Good one, Lowko. Thanks, guys. Thank you for hitting the like button for that amazing joke. There's that Widow Mine, though. Dealing a bunch of damage. Okay, well. The problem is, this command center can just take off and get him out of there. Cuckoo with a little question mark. Planetary Fortress. Now morphing into natural, but there's already a Cyclone available. Yeah, this is great, right? For Cuckoo? Am I crazy? I mean, great, maybe not necessarily the best word. Planetary may finish up, but like, worst case scenario, that orbital command will just lift off and get him out of there. He's also gone for a Banshee, by the way. I know the siege tank is going to be really nice for outranging this, but the Banshee, there's nothing that shoots up. There's absolutely nothing that shoots up. It's so stupid. I love how the high-level StarCraft. It's oh my god. The fact that this is even a remotely viable strategy is just hilarious to me. Like 12 years of pro gaming, right? 12 years of optimization thrown out of the window. Like, this really makes you think, because a Planetary Fortress rush is obviously one of the most extreme strategies, right? But there are many build orders and strategies that people have deemed, quote-unquote, impossible. Right? And I'm not entirely sure that that is really the case. I'm not entirely sure if some of the craziest strategies, like people, for example, for years have told me that the Hyperflight Rotors upgrade, the Banshee speed upgrade, is not viable. Now, it's recently been buffed, but I don't believe that in the past it wasn't viable either, man. Like, if a build order like a Planetary Fortress Rush works reasonably well, there's no way that something like a Banshee opener isn't more powerful than it is. And there's, like, the same for like, battlecruiser builds in general, right? We see them quite a bit right now, but for a long time people said that it wasn't something you could actually play. There are so many strategies that definitely are viable that just haven't really been experienced yet, you know? We need at least another decade of StarCraft 2. I hope we're gonna get it, but we need like at least another decade for the craziest builds to really be figured out, because there is more out there. Anyhow, Cuckoo right now in a really good spot. If you look at the economies, this is where the real advantage is. I like the fact, by the way, that he's playing with green. That's not something we see all too often. Command center on the low ground, though, has landed, and 3 of those mining machines right here for uThermal are now also available. Considering he lost the command center, though, this game is actually not that bad. Yeah, this game is actually relatively playable. I mean, TVT is, of course, the matchup as well. Okay, that sucks. TVT is, of course, the matchup as well, where an advantage is very difficult to actually drive home. So, like, even when you are ahead, you still have to run into siege tanks and all that in order to obtain the victory, right? Like, it's difficult to actually close it out. The hero Banshee. She's got 2 confirmed kills. One of them, though, being a Planetary Fortress, which definitely is worthwhile. Very interesting helicopter design, right? Pretty sick, not gonna lie. Anyways. Yeah, now she's dead. Cuckoo made that decision as well. He realized it. He wanted to go home, but he scans the main base right now just to confirm that there's not a sudden group of battle cruisers building over there. That would be a little bit strange, but you never know. Making sure that there's not something on the back of this as well, even though it was a bit of a strange start. Marines stimming down those Reapers. Excellent control right here from uThermal. My main question is, though, how in the world is he going to shut down this? Now, there are a lot of Ravens up in the air. It's almost like we're combining a couple of the different series together. Planetaries and Ravens suddenly are the name of the game. Obviously, Ravens have been made a little bit cheaper with the new multiplayer balance patch. So therefore, you can make more of them easier. And obviously, they can still shut down siege tanks temporarily, which is really quite nice. Worker count actually is once again looking pretty good. But look at the timing right here of the third command center, right? Compared to what Cuckoo is doing. Cuckoo's already got his finished, whereas uThermal just started this. Okay, we're gonna need to see some fantastic play right here with these Ravens. They're primarily used for their interference matrix, but... Ooh, scan right over here. Is he gonna commit? Okay. It does get spotted. Cuckoo now knows what he's playing against. Okay. uThermal wanted to fight this. He was ready to pounce, but good response right there from Cuckoo. Marines going in for the counterattack, picking off a reinforcing Viking. Not bad at all. Now we do have an engagement over here, though. Auto turrets are being dropped. There's the interference matrices. Shutting everything down. uThermal now lends the Vikings as well. Brings the Marines to the front to try and clean up all of the tanks. And the siege tanks are gone at the same time. That Marine push, well, it's still on the other side of the map. A lot of very low HP units, but nothing available really for our Terran player in blue to defend against this. So that command center in the natural is going to go down. uThermal making the best of a very tricky scenario. Okay, now the Vikings once again up in the air. He's going to start working on some of the SCVs as well that now decide to run towards the right side of the map. Effectively now a one base all in, although there is a new command center that just finished up. CC in the main base, at least is going to stay alive. Couple Marines here split off from the pack as they start, well, target shooting here at those SCVs. It's a little bit morbid, but this is what you get. Armies, still actually in favor right now of uThermal. A lot of that is caught up in those flying units that don't really do all too much, and that is what Cuckoo realizes right now as well. Marines are much better here. And in the end, it is our Romanian who obtains the victory. Next up, we find ourselves on Gresven. With the sickest guitar solo that I know in the StarCraft world. Okay, maybe not as good as the original StarCraft 1 music, but I do really like this tune from... I think the original Wings of Liberty. Anyways, I'm curious to see what uThermal decides to go for in this particular game. He seems to have quite the range of Planetary Fortress openers, which is kind of funny, but I wonder if 6k MMR is just the cutoff point. Like 6k MMR, that's not something that most people can reach, okay? 6k MMR is top 0.001%, something like that. Like the vast majority of players in StarCraft 2 are never going to be able to reach 6k MMR. It's very high level. At least, you know, I tried and I couldn't do it, so... Don't hate me, okay? I really tried. I think I'm pretty good at the game, but not quite at that level. Okay, anyways, a Reaper goes across, sees the CC on the low ground. CC on the low ground. Another Reaper here available. Can he kill that? He can. That's huge. This is now going to deny a lot of scouting here. So Cuckoo doesn't know. Well, I mean, maybe he does know. But there is once again a command center building at the bottom of the map. Maybe he doesn't need to know, though. This is a great start, though, for uThermal. He really does need to... I think he probably needs to just make a bunch of units and then throw them all on the other side of the map while morphing in a Planetary Fortress. It's easier said than done. You can't really make a mistake. Like, you can't really make a... Ooh... Okay, well, I guess trading a Reaper... you know what? Maybe that trade was actually intentional. Yeah, no, it definitely was. Trading a Reaper right there for a Hellion is not bad at all, but you gotta be very focused on your early game unit control. If you give away one of your Reapers, as uThermal here, this build is probably gonna get shut down. Like, you really need to be incredibly tight. Okay, so there's once again the NG Bay coming up. There's once again a Cyclone coming across. Cuckoo did get to the other side of the map. He did see the lack of command center on the low ground. He's once again going to check, because that's what you do in a normal game. But, well, the command center was built. It was just built in an entirely different location. Okay, free Reaper. Not bad. Cuckoo getting one of the kills. He's already, though, uThermal that is, on the other side of the map. Command center has been assigned to land right over here. SCV on the low ground, I think that was maybe even a fake. Because I don't think he really was intending on, well, apparently he wants to go for a command center here eventually, but... What? Oh, okay, yeah, no, he just made a new one from the main base, fair enough. uThermal is thinking of going for a Planetary Fortress over here on the low ground. I wonder if he should get a little greedier and move it further forward. But I guess this location over here is mostly just meant to buy a lot of time. You gotta take whatever advantage you can get at this level of play. I'm a big fan of trying to morph in the Planetary over here, and that would be fantastic. But I can imagine that's also very difficult to pull off. Notice, by the way, this time around the Cyclones. So, a Banshee follow-up would not be nearly as effective. Ooh, he does get the lock on. Gotta finish the job. At least not on the Raven. Yeah, so I think this is like a soft contain almost. So now we have double command center on the back of this. So that is kind of interesting. uThermal going for 4 command centers, basically, before he really does anything else. Which is kind of ironic. Cuckoo, once again, ready to fly this down. He wanted to get a little closer. Now that command center, though, is going to provide vision for that siege tank to be able to shoot at its maximum range. And uThermal just trying to be as obnoxious as he possibly can be. Has SCVs coming out of this structure right now as well. I believe just for repairing. Yeah, just to try and buy as much time as possible. Careful. Ooh, he wants to get the lock on right there. No, that was too ambitious. He wants to get the lock on right there on the siege tank. Oh, he does get it, but... Ooh, auto turret is going to finish the job. Well, the siege tank does disappear, though. A Raven also gets sniped out of the skies. That actually was now really good. I actually now really quite like that. I wasn't sure about sacrificing one of those Cyclones, but killing the siege tank, killing the Raven actually does justify that. Because right now, suddenly, uThermal has got, well, soon to be triple orbital. He's killed a lot more of his opponent's units, plus Cuckoo is unable to expand. Like, maybe he can think about making an expansion over here, and that's exactly what uThermal is thinking right now as well. He's scouting around the sides of the map here to make sure that there's no proxy command center anywhere. This man is an experienced Planetary Fortress rusher, okay? He's not gonna get caught off guard. Okay. Eventually, this will be broken, right? Eventually, the blue Terran is gonna have to leave this section of the map. The main question is, how much economy will uThermal be able to build up in the meantime? As Cuckoo is trying to still secure his natural, and we're still about a minute away from him properly mining it, it seems. uThermal's landing his 3rd CC. So it's very heavy Cyclone focus. It's double Cyclone on the back of this, which I do quite like, but it is of course a little dangerous. Oh my god. He gets another siege tank. No way. Oh my god. Well, this is actually GG. There's no way. There's another tank over there. That lock-on ability is so strong. GG. Yep. Next up, we find ourselves on a Royal Blood. Once more, as you can see by the production tab, basically identical build orders from both of these players. Let me actually flip the scoreboard right there just to make it less confusing. Cuckoo actually checking right here. I thought for a second this was uThermal, but no. Cuckoo actually checking now his side of the map as well. Checking the other side of the map too, as I think he's gonna go for a little bit of cheese himself. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sometimes fighting fire needs to be done with fire, right? Like, it's not necessarily the worst option. There was a Reaper available here for Cuckoo to try and push back that Reaper here of uThermal. And once more, there's a command center coming up. Maybe he's just gonna use this to scout the low ground here? Yeah. So I think Cuckoo is scouting the low ground here to see that there's no command center. There's obviously still a chance that the CC is inside of the main base instead, but he's gonna get confirmation of that too. Now, he doesn't see all too much more besides it. Command centers can really be anywhere. You would imagine probably over here, or maybe over here would be the most likely location. This is a bit of a, yeah, conservative position for a proxy, a proxy command center. I can imagine he's probably gonna be flying it forward here momentarily. But I think for Cuckoo at this point, he must realize the game that's being played. So now he's got a little bit of time to prepare. What exactly do you do differently here? It's once again Cyclone play here. So I think the Cyclones are an excellent option. I think it mostly comes down though to just, well, to quote-unquote just not make any micro mistakes. It's very easy to accidentally slip up and lose the game. It's much easier said than done, I guess, but yeah, you need to really make sure you don't give away any of your early game units. Okay, here we go again. The menacing command center flying across the map. 3.5 minutes in. Bunker at the front, I do really like. Pop the Marines in. Perfect. Marines get popped in right before they died, and that's all that really matters. uThermal's thinking of positioning the command center over here. Again, I would love to see a unit underneath to try and prevent it from landing. Buying time here is it's of the utmost importance, right? Making sure that you get your next units out, your next wave of attacking units is incredibly helpful. The defender's advantage is not to be underestimated. SCVs block that landing. Okay, nicely done. Eventually, though, he does get it down towards the low ground, but the siege tank here is available. Excellent movement here from Cuckoo. Yeah, and uThermal gets pushed back here. So now what? Don't know who placed that sticker there. Could really be either player. Now what, uThermal? What are we gonna do now? Looks like, God, very brutal. Yeah, must have been a Reaper. It scouted at the very least on the other side of the map that, well, there wasn't anything all too crazy. uThermal now going for a backup plan, but notice no SCV has been built out of this CC. So even the Planetary Fortress morph-in would take forever, right? I'm afraid that the command center is actually gonna fall before the Planetary Fortress finishes morphing in. Oh, beautiful shot. That siege tank getting so much value. If you can get one more. There it is. Fantastic. Really good stuff right here for Cuckoo. So one SCV has been tasked right now with repairing this command center back up. I don't really know exactly what the rules for this particular challenge are, but I think you just have to give up on the planetary here. I know we haven't technically made a Planetary Fortress rush in this game, or we haven't technically executed one, but like, giving your opponent a command center for free does not seem to be the best idea. He could still use it, I guess, as a proxy base, but I wouldn't mind seeing this command center make the flight of shame all the way back home. Supply count now, reflecting what we saw earlier today as well. There is a pretty quick 4th command center once more, so that is nice, but supply-wise, uThermal not in the most comfortable position. He is once more going for the heavy Cyclone approach, it seems, which is kind of funny. Cuckoo going for a more standardized opener, focusing on Marines and siege tanks here primarily. Stimpak is coming up. He'll probably be sitting back here for at least the majority of the time until that upgrade is done. Well, he does have one Raven here on the other side of the map, being annoying. Okay, good control right there from uThermal. Cyclone snipes down the Raven. And honestly, the Raven didn't even really deal that much damage. That SCV can, now continue working on repairing that Cyclone back up as well. Not bad whatsoever. So, yeah. Cuckoo sees the command center floating up there. I think you almost have to take this as a loss. Like, you have to just take this command center as a loss entirely and just... No, he's not gonna do it. He wants to land over here. It's never gonna happen, mate. The entire main base has been acquired by the Terran player in green. Okay, at least that was a nice kill right there on one of those siege tanks, but at the cost of a scan. We're still gonna try. We're still gonna try. Create a little bit of chaos. Problem is, this game has been going on for like 4 more minutes since the planetary first flew across. And that means that the army count is just simply much bigger now. So Marines alone, for some reason with this particular skin, it looks like their guns are absolutely massive. Marines alone are gonna be enough. Well, at least if he targets it down. Scan right there as well to try and keep this alive, but not gonna happen. Cyclones on the low ground. Maybe if the CC was a little closer to the ledge? I wonder, actually. Yeah, I think positioning it a little closer to the ramp here might have been a bit better. In the meantime, though, uThermal has been making a large army. Gets another siege tank kill. You know what? His economy is actually caught up really nicely. If we look here at the amount of income in this game... Oh, I don't have my game heart apparently. Doesn't matter. If you look at the income in the top left-hand corner, we don't have that graph like we usually do, but you can still see that our Dutch Terran player here, not really in the worst of positions at all. That command center was lost. That command center is gone. But resource lost-wise, this is actually very playable. Okay, so now we actually have a pretty standard normal macro game. The main difference being the unit composition. So uThermal has gone for, well, here's a drop in the main base. uThermal has gone for a mech-based style instead. And I think he's gonna stick with mech as well, considering now that there's another another factory coming up too. Nice movement here by Cuckoo though. Very nicely done actually by him. His entire positioning, ooh, a little bit awkward. Maybe a little overzealous right there with that group of Marines, but at least he manages to get out. Well, with the medevac that is. uThermal defends it, but Cuckoo is, yeah, in a pretty good position here. The problem is now you have to play uThermal in a macro game. Sure, this is uThermal playing a unit composition that's a little different than the established standard, but, you know, we're still talking a 7k MMR Terran going up against a 6k MMR Terran in a macro game, right? You'd be leaning against, or you'd be leaning in favor of the guy who's, well, higher MMR, naturally. So I guess this is a good moment for Cuckoo to show us how capable he is. Raven moving forward. That Raven is not to be underestimated, okay? A couple of the siege tanks do get shot down. Very aggressive move here. Siege tanks in the back maybe a little bit late to that siege up as well. Cuckoo's army gets wiped out, at least his bio army does. Medevacs also get sniped, but the majority of the tanks do stay alive. There's Marauders now mixed in as well, so those Marauders can tank quite a few of the hits. I think we're gonna start leapfrogging a couple of these siege tanks now as well. You'd need a Liberator or something along those lines. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. A Liberator to try and push this back. In the meantime though, okay, we have a little bit of a bio drop here on top of the tanks. Siege tanks unsieged to try and mitigate some of that friendly fire. Good control right there from uThermal. Trying his best to keep all of this alive, but Cuckoo is smelling blood in the water. Siege tank here, very low in HP. Does get the hug of love though. SCVs don't mess around, man. Okay, now the Liberator is out. Vikings have to land. Liberator? Ooh, does live. Never mind. It lived for a little bit longer, but then I think one of the hero Marines here ended up getting the final hit in. There's more Liberators though where that one came from, so there should be more to actually push this back. You can see Cuckoo trying to cut his opponent off. Now we're moving forward here. Aggressive move once more. Very nicely done. Siege tank there in the back, dealing a lot of damage, but Cuckoo's trying to create a chokehold right here on the opponent's natural. And once the natural is cut off, then the third base is wide open. Honestly, I really like the way this man is moving around his units, though. Most people in scenarios like this would sit back and play it a little bit more conservatively, but Cuckoo apparently happy to take the fight forward. Don't get me wrong, though. These traits we've been seeing here, they've not been that amazing for the player in green. But his economy has been established a while ago, and if the opponent can't mine the third base, obviously he's going to be able to, well, eventually get a bigger army out as well, just because he's mining more. So as long as the traits are somewhat even, that's going to favor our player in green in the long run. Getting another Liberator, maybe? Yeah, well, there's one Marine here tasked once again with a very big job. Not going to be enough. It's easy to overextend, though, with these types of fights here, right? It's very easy to push a little too far forward. These tanks on the high ground have been having a field day. 4, 5, and 1 kill. uThermal wants to secure this location on the map once more, but he needs to break out of this. 4th command center, in the meantime, done on the other side of the map. Cuckoo just setting all of his rally points across this. Apparently now is the time that uThermal decides to push forward. He's trying his best to break out of this, but still enough units seem to remain right here in green. The scans, by the way, allow the siege tanks to shoot at their maximum range. These are just barely out of range of one another. +2/+2 coming up as well here for the player in green. No upgrades, really, for uThermal, other than the ones we saw earlier. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful little drop. that's gonna get rid of uThermal out of this game and out of this tournament. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button down below. I know it's kind of obnoxious that everybody asks, but honestly, it really does help. For now, have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again tomorrow for another video.